Greetings, family. This is Dr. Greg McNeil. It's Monday, July 28, 2025, coming to you from the surface of the sun. We have to get an early start today because we got the triple digits coming at us, and oh man. Okay, so this morning I actually wanted to jump in on a question that I actually saw on my feed this morning. I believe this is a person from TikTok. I believe her name is Israelite Social. So check that out just to make sure that I have that right. But it's Israelite Social. I think she might be American Indian, Asian, kind of not really sure, but she's certainly asking some incredible questions over there on her platform. But one of the questions that I saw this morning that really got my attention and I wanted to bring to you, her question was, what if black people have some kind of superpower? And the reason she's asking this question is because she's saying that it doesn't make sense that people of color, specifically the black community, would face such harsh oppression from government agencies across the world. And she was essentially saying, why is that?
I don't mean to say this like to be disrespectful, and maybe this is, some people are gonna think this sounds dumb, but I feel like there's a deeper reason why, people of color and specifically the black community have been relentlessly persecuted. Like, I mean, just the things that happened during slavery alone, like, were insane. But I don't know, the more I learn about black history and the ways that, people who literally worked in the government, like the CIA, all these different people in power were trying to ruin the black community. And it makes me think, dude, I feel like, is there something more going on here than just racism? Because it's like, come on, you're telling me you're doing all of this stuff just because you don't like someone's skin color? I feel like, what if, I have this theory that, like, what if black people have some type of superpower? Like, what if they have, I don't know, if they're just born something with something very valuable?
It doesn't make sense because it's just the color of your skin. There's something else that has to be going on. And she is absolutely correct. There is something going on. There is something that the elites know, and it is something that we carry as African people, right? And I've talked about this in some of my earlier videos. It's certainly in my research. Let's see, like right now, my social media person who is banging, Leonora Moya, she is, at some point, she's going to be bringing forward my my oral dissertation defense, which was recorded, so you will be able to see that. You'll be able to see me defend my dissertation on African indigenous history in ancient America. But more than that research, I also addressed the questions that she talked about, like, what is it about black people or African people? Because we're talking about one and the same. And this is something that gets confusing during the whole colonization and British imperialism and that entire process. But we're really talking about the same people. And how do we know that? Because it's not just in the skin. But let me answer her question. She wanted to know, what is it that black people carry that you're not being told about, that you're not being taught in schools, but apparently someone else knows? Well, there's an individual. His name is Svante Pääbo. He is a Swedish geneticist, evolutionary geneticist, Svante Pääbo. I'll make sure that I have his name in the description. But he is he won the Nobel Prize for his research. And one of the things that he found out in his research that really alarmed everyone is that African people do not contain Neanderthal DNA. And which means then that African people black people are 100% human. Now you might say, what? Absolutely. Black people are 100% human. They do not contain Neanderthal DNA. But if you do the research, you'll know that this makes sense because the first people anywhere on the planet were African. And other races of people did not emerge on the planet until after the worm glaciation or the ice age that took place throughout all of Northern Europe between 40,000 and 20,000. That was the time frame that it would take for the differentiation, or what we call the mutation, to take place, which would cause the ancient Africans, from all the Africans that migrated throughout all of Europe and Asia, to change. And of course, a part of that change, that differentiation, which again, this is in my research, took place over that different time period. And of course, the people, or the Africans that were in those different areas, you'll notice that they have the features of the people that live in those different places. So that's one, that the first people on the planet are African. The second thing is that African people do not contain Neanderthal DNA. Neanderthal DNA would be introduced during that period of the worm glaciation, and there would be an admixture between what would be later called the Cro-Magnon man and those ancient Africans that had differentiated. They would, of course, admix or intermingle with the Neanderthals that would have been present in Europe at the time and later become extinct. Again, this is all written down, and so it's something that, as always, I encourage you to research, because not only does it make sense, but it will remove the cobwebs and the miseducation. Okay, so back to her question. What is it that the elites know that they do not want to teach everybody else in school, and the reasons why they want to continue to oppress people of color and black people so mercilessly? It is the history. It is the fact that, one, you are the first people. You are the innovators, the first civilization builders. You are the Aboriginal people on the planet, the first people anywhere. You are also 100% purely human. And the other thing that you carry is the Eve gene, or mitochondrial DNA. This gene is only carried by black women, past, present, and future. Every black woman on the planet is directly linked to the first original black women, modern human women on the planet. And it's also important to remember there were a number of African people that were on the planet. So when we're talking about Eve, we're not talking about just one single black woman, but we're talking about multiple black women that emerged on the continent of Cubulon, what we know today as Africa. So yes, black women carry the Eve gene. They are the only one that carry this gene. And when their DNA mutates, all other races of people become possible. And this is where we get the name Eve, right? Or what I call in my research, Great Sister, right? Because she is the only one. She is the mother of us all. So there is some of that information for you as to why. Now, the question is, why is it that you don't know it? Why is it that you don't have this information? This is the story of my research. This is the story that I tell, why we don't know information is so important to us all. And once we have this information, we'll really truly understand the American Indian Lakota expression, mitokoya oyasin, which says that we are all related, which is true. But right now, the work is to keep us divided. So dive in, do your research, check me out, check out my research over on Coach's Corner on YouTube. And also, I'm getting ready to do my first live, so check me out. I look forward to talking to you soon.